The Midnight Train. A group of strangers board a mysterious midnight train that seems to have no destination, taking them on a journey through places they don't recognize. Time and reality become warped, and the passengers realize that they are trapped between life and death, with a final destination that no one can escape. Each passenger is connected by unfinished business, and they must face their past to find peace or be lost forever. The story: It's a cold, foggy night. The clock strikes midnight as an old train station, nearly abandoned, hums with an eerie silence. The passengers waiting for the train seem to feel the unease in the air, but they board anyway. The train itself is old, its windows streaked with condensation, and the air inside smells faintly of smoke and something unfamiliar, almost like the scent of long-forgotten memories. The characters: Evelyn, a grieving widow, still struggling with the loss of her husband. 2. Thomas, a man who's never felt like he belonged, haunted by guilt over the choices he's made in his life. Clara, a young woman escaping from an abusive relationship, running from a past she can't escape. 4. Mr. Hargrave, an elderly man who seems to know more about the train than he lets on. 5. Sam, a seemingly ordinary teenager, but he carries with him a heavy secret he's never shared with anyone. As the train departs, the passengers initially take no notice of the strange emptiness surrounding them. The train moves smoothly, though something about it feels off. The hum of the engine is different, quieter than usual. The lights flicker sporadically, casting long shadows across the dimly lit cabin. The first unsettling event happens shortly after the train starts moving. Clara notices that the landscape outside has begun to change. At first, it's subtle. The trees turn into twisted shapes, and the sky takes on a strange purple hue. Then, the train starts passing by places that none of the passengers recognize. An old house that looks like it's been abandoned for decades, a field with gravestones, a bridge leading to nowhere. The passengers start murmuring nervously. Thomas tries to engage Mr. Hargrave in conversation, but the elderly man simply looks out the window, unbothered by the strange scenery. As the night progresses, strange things begin to happen inside the train. The air grows colder, and some of the passengers notice that their reflections in the windows don't seem quite right. They move just a little too slowly, or a little too fast. The feeling of being watched becomes overwhelming. As the train continues its journey, the passengers start to share their stories. Evelyn talks about the grief of losing her husband to a sudden illness and how she has never been able to let go. Clara reveals the terrifying details of her abusive relationship and how she had fled, leaving behind everything she knew. Thomas admits to a life of regret, where he feels he's never truly chosen the right path. Sam, on the other hand, keeps his secret. He's been running away from something for a long time, but no one knows exactly what. Then, as the tension builds, Mr. Hargrave finally speaks up. "I'm afraid none of you are really alive," he says quietly, his voice trembling. "This train is no ordinary train. It's a bridge between worlds, a place where those who have unfinished business come to make peace with their past. You're all passengers who have yet to confront the things that bind you to this world." A heavy silence falls over the train. At first, no one believes him, dismissing him as just another crazy old man. But as they start looking around, they realize something is terribly wrong. There's no conductor. The train doesn't stop at any stations. They've been traveling for hours, yet no one can remember how far they've gone or where they're headed. Soon, strange things start to happen inside the train. Doors open and shut on their own, shadows flicker in the corners of the cabin, and whispers fill the air. The passengers start seeing visions of their pasts. Evelyn is shown the moment her husband passed away, trapped in an endless loop of his death. Clara sees a vision of her ex, but this time she faces him, no longer afraid. Thomas is confronted by his own selfishness, watching the consequences of every choice he made. And Sam sees a version of himself that's a stranger, holding a heavy, bloody secret. Each passenger is forced to confront what they've been running from. As they struggle to accept their past, the train begins to lose its momentum, slowing down until it comes to a complete stop in a foggy, desolate station. As they step off the train, they realize that they have arrived at a place that looks like a reflection of the world they know, but darker, more dreamlike. They can hear the sounds of their loved ones calling them from the distance, but when they turn to look, the voices vanish. One by one, each passenger understands what must be done. Evelyn must forgive herself for holding on to grief for so long. Clara must let go of the past and stop running. And Thomas must accept the consequences of his choices. Sam, too, comes to terms with his secret, facing the thing he's been avoiding. As they all stand together in this strange, otherworldly place, they realize they've passed a final test. The journey on the midnight train wasn't just a physical ride. It was an emotional one, guiding them through the final reckoning with their past. The train disappears into the fog, leaving the passengers standing in peace. As the morning light begins to break through the mist, they know their journey has ended, and they are finally at rest. The final scene shows the empty train station once again, quiet in the early morning light. The midnight train has long gone, leaving only the faintest echoes of its passage behind.